Hi everyone, Carter Krishna here for Beyond the 90. I want to get back to football soon, but politics seeps into football. And let me say, I've got lots of feedback on that video, and it's hundreds of people have watched it on Substack. I haven't checked the numbers elsewhere, but several hundred people have watched the video on Substack. So and I've gotten feedback accordingly. Let me mention that there are federations in the past, Chile, Hungary, others that have gotten in trouble with FIFA for having political involvement in football. Then again, Russia, Putin, palling around with members of the FIFA Executive Committee the day before a World Cup vote in 2010. That wasn't sanctioned, right? So it's a mixed bag. The ANC being really involved in the 2009 and 2010 in the South Africa World Cup and the promotion of that, and I thought the promotion got very political, quite frankly. I know everyone seems to love Nelson Mandela, but still political, wasn't appropriate. So that started the slippery slope to where Infantino seems to be one of the most frequent visitors to the White House, and as pally with President Trump, and now we have a White House task force with a paid government employee that's going to be involved in football. Right? When we bid on the World Cup, we had an executive director. And a committee that was completely private. Now, if you get grant money from a government, if you're a World Cup host committee, World Cup bid committee, and you get some grant money from a government that you spend, that you're autonomous to spend as a committee, as a private committee, that's a little different. But I don't like the government involvement in football. But anyway, that doesn't mean people who are in government cannot be football fans, which is where we're going to transition over to the new Canadian Prime Minister, Mark Carney, who is a very notable Everton fan, or he will be the Prime Minister by the time most of you watch this. Justin Trudeau has not resigned yet, but Carney has been elected as the head of the Liberal Party. They're in power currently, although there will be an election soon, and Pierre Poilievre, who is the leader of the Conservative Party, is most likely going to be the new Prime Minister after that. But Carney will be Prime Minister for at least a short period of time. He could win the election. The Liberals could win the election. Polls have tightened since the tariff thing started. The Conservatives were about 30 points ahead. They're now somewhere between 3 to 5 points ahead. So the Liberals could win. So anyway, Carney, very prominent Everton supporter, not just a random Everton supporter. Everton seems to attract people in politics and government because Andy Burnham, who is the mayor of Greater Manchester, who, in my opinion, should have been the Labour Party leader in 2015 when he ran, but he didn't get elected. He is a very prominent Everton supporter as well, even though he's the mayor now of Greater Manchester. But Carney is a guy that actually, in his role as a governor of the Bank of England, wore his Everton colors on his chest. The thumbnail for this video, which you see, that photo is courtesy of Everton Football Club. I should mention that. But that photo was taken in 2014 when he became a governor. And when Everton was deducted points by the Premier League, he was one of the most prominent people to publicly berate the Premier League, and in fact wrote a very strong letter to the Premier League about the situation. And Carney has actually been, from my understanding, in covering Everton the way I used to, in the 2014 to 2020 time period. I haven't really covered them since. Had become actually someone who was close, was facilitated solutions from the club, using his public posture. And the thing with Everton is Everton has a huge fan base in North America. I mean, I think it's just a cool club. Like, it's a club I have a soft spot for, and I talked about this in the Sven-Göran Eriksson series, that the connections with Manchester City, who I support, made me sort of an Everton supporter also because of Andy Hinchcliffe, Peter Reid, Howard Kendall, Adrian Heath. you could go on and on and on in terms of people. Joe Royle, who had connections to both clubs, the kind of second club in both Liverpool and Manchester, which are, by the way, if you don't know the geography of the northwest of England, are actually closer geographically than Dallas and Fort Worth. So they're very close to one another. The second club, but at times have been the first club and have both been the People's Club. So I've always had a connection to Everton. And they have this huge support in North America because of all the Canadian and American players that have played for Everton. Thomas Rosicky, Canadian, played for Everton. And obviously we know Joe Max Moore, Tim Howard, Brian McBride, Landon Donovan, all played for Everton in terms of American players. So Carney is a prominent Everton supporter. I think it's really cool to have a head of state, or he's not the head of state, actually, technically King Charles is, but someone leading a country in North America, in the US or Canada, that's into soccer, that's into football. Canada, they're generally hockey fans. And in the United States, they're generally American football fans. Donald Trump is getting involved with soccer, but he's not a soccer fan. Barack Obama claimed to be a West Ham fan, but after that, he showed no interest in the sport. None. Biden is a bit of a soccer fan, but, it wasn't more important to him than American sports. Carney has been a very prominent Everton supporter. I've known for about a decade that he's an Everton supporter. So this, to me, is kind of an exciting thing from the perspective of promoting the sport in North America. Even if he loses the election to Polyev, I think, or the Liberals lose the election to the Conservatives, and we'll see what the NDP does and the Bloc Québécois do in that election. He will be the opposition leader, the leader of the opposition. And it's cool to have someone that really cares about the sport, especially when Canada is about to co-host a World Cup. So I'm kind of excited about this from a football perspective. We leave the politics and the ideology. I know he's a central banker that bothers a lot of people on the far left and some others, quite frankly. But we can leave all that aside. He is an Everton supporter. He's a prominent Everton supporter. He's not just a guy who says, "Oh yeah, I like a club," the way Obama did with West Ham. He is an actual die-in-the-wool Everton guy, man.